We'd been married for 3 years. Life seemed pretty good to me. We were together, we loved each other. At least that's what I thought. It turns out that I was just showing love. We weren't exactly wallowing in luxury, but we didn't need much either. Anyway, let's get to the story. I had Tuesday and Wednesday off this week, thanks to my rotating work schedule. My wife, on the other hand, quit her job about a month ago and is now waiting for a new position to open up. So with both of us having some free time, we figured we could head out to our country house midweek. About a week ago, we planned this Tuesday trip to tidy up before winter set in. I even arranged for an electrician to come check the wiring, and we decided to grill some shish kebabs, crack open a bottle of wine, and have a little end-of-season celebration. Then, on Monday afternoon, while I'm still at work, my wife calls me up. She says she can't make it to the country because her mom has set up a meeting with a realtor on Tuesday evening. Apparently, her mom asked her to be there to help with the documents. You know, since my wife's a lawyer. It couldn't be rescheduled, and turning down her mom wasn't an option either. She says, "You go ahead alone, I'll come by myself on Wednesday morning." Well, what could I do? I'd already arranged for the electrician to come, so I just rolled with it. Stuff happens, right? After lunch, I hit the road. By the time I figured it out, it was already 6 o'clock in the evening. My wife called me and said that they were meeting with a realtor in about an hour and that she would stay the night with her mom. I tell her, "Okay, then we'll talk later." So keeping this in mind, I get comfortable. I fry potatoes, cut lard, take cucumbers, and drinks are cooling in the refrigerator. I'm just about to pour myself a drink when the phone rings, and guess who it is? My mother-in-law. So she starts going on about how I promised to take her car in for maintenance and asks me to set it up. She's all polite, saying she doesn't want to bother us since she knows we're out at the country house. Then she drops the bombshell. She's arranging the meeting with the realtor for the next afternoon and says she's staying with her sister tonight. At this point, I'm beyond shocked, but I keep my cool, exchange goodbyes, and hang up. Without wasting time, I pack my things, get in the car, and head out. I somehow held back from calling my wife right away, figuring that if something was up, they'd let me know eventually. Instead, I decided to head home, grab the spare keys to my mother-in-law's apartment. By the way, I installed those locks myself, and then swing by to check things out. If no one was there, then I'd call my wife and see how things sounded at her mom's place. I drove all the way there, and just as I'm parking in front of our building, I spot the light in our apartment flickering on and then off again a minute later. For a moment, I even felt a bit relieved, thinking my wife was just at home, doing something mundane. But deep down, I knew better. I rushed into the building, noticed both elevators were on the ground floor, but for some reason, I didn't take them. I walked up to the 3rd floor instead. When I got to our apartment, I unlocked the common door and tried to open ours, only to find it latched from the inside. I started ringing the doorbell and calling her phone. She answered in a shaky voice, trying to say something. I just told her to open the door. The outcome was inevitable. She opened the door. And then, folks, it was like a scene straight out of a movie. There they were, both fully dressed, the bed hastily made, and half a bottle of wine sitting on the table. I grabbed the guy by the collar, dragged him out onto the stairs, and gave him 2 choices. Either spill everything and walk away unharmed, or end up regretting it in a hospital bed. He opted for the first. Turns out, they'd been at it for 2 months. After letting him go, I returned to the apartment. She started trying to explain, to justify what had happened. I kept calm and asked her to make the bed and go to her mother. She could pick up her things later. When I was about to leave, I noticed a condom wrapper under the bed, and it infuriated me. I picked her up, gave her to her, and then threw her shoes, jacket, and bag into the stairwell. And just like that, something inside me felt hollow. I took some time off work, told them I was sick. My mother-in-law showed up today, by the way. She said she completely understands me and even apologized for her daughter. As for me, I've already made up my mind. Divorce is the only way forward. What other choice is there? It's all just filth and lies. To be honest, I don't even remember every word exchanged. There was something about it wasn't what it looked like, but it's all just lies. The guy only confessed because I forced him to. Otherwise, who knows what they would have kept hiding. You might wonder if she's tried to reach out to me since then, to talk things through. She's tried every possible way to get in touch. I've ignored her, blocked her where I could, but I can't turn off my phone because of work. Occasionally, there are calls from random numbers too. And honestly, I can't even bring myself to respond. It's just too revolting to think about any of it. And there's really nothing left to decide. She made the choice for both of us. Divorce is the only path forward. I'm not even entertaining other options. We don't have kids, by the way. We had plans, but that's all in the past now. Oddly enough, I'm not even feeling hurt, just a mix of anger and disgust, like stepping in something filthy. I have no intention of communicating with her. What's the point? To listen to excuses. I don't need that, and I wouldn't even be able to stomach it. I'd probably get sick just hearing it. As for the drinking, it's not like I'm going on a bender. It's just my way of coping with the stress. Now that I'm reflecting on it, I'm trying to piece together whether there were signs I missed. Things I should have noticed earlier. Maybe there were, but were there really any solid facts? Or maybe not. Did I feel anything off? Not at all. I'm not exactly the intuitive type to pick up on subtle things like that. I wasn't even trying to dig for anything, you know. And honestly, if I had wanted to find out, I probably would have. I trusted her completely. She always had the right words to say, especially when the topic of infidelity came up, whether in a movie or when talking about friends who split for that reason. She'd be genuinely outraged, saying things like, "Why get married if you're not sure or committed?" Stuff like that. And as for the makeup and dressing up, I didn't think much of it. Why would I? A woman wants to look good, right? But I never connected it to anything suspicious because I was so sure of our mutual decency. So, yeah, that's pretty much where I stand. By the way, my mother-in-law called again, but I didn't pick up. I figured she probably tried to talk me into forgiving her daughter, and I'm not interested in hearing that. She texted me, saying she wanted to talk. But what's there to talk about? That's the question I kept asking myself. I couldn't help but think, what did I do to deserve this? I mean, we always had a good relationship, so why did this happen? When we finally spoke, she quickly said she understood my feelings and insisted she would never do anything like that to her husband. She was in tears and told me, "It's your call." I made my decision clear. In response, she asked for forgiveness and said that I could rely on her if I ever needed help with anything. I could hear the regret in her voice, and honestly, I do feel bad for her, for the situation as a whole. But what can you do now? The damage is done, and there's no turning back.